Brian Smith, publisher of Inside the Knights, powered by Fan Nation on Sports Illustrated. Couple of things that I want to discuss as UCF prepares to play the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. 2 on offense, 2 on defense. Start with the offensive side of the ball. First off, it's the obvious. Cannot turn the football over, especially can't give away a pick six again to start a game. So UCF needs to start strong, get the running game going, take pressure off Dillon. The Wildcats just aren't very good on defense in terms of stopping the run. They gave up less than 200 passing, but well over 200 rushing. And one of the reasons they didn't give up a ton of yards passing, there was no need to throw the ball. UTEP scored 38 points. Most of it was doing what they do best, and that's pound the football. If Bethune-Cookman can't stop them after the way UCF ran the ball, I don't expect to see a whole lot of difference in what last week was to this week. You could all but tell them. Matthew Lee up front, I think he's about as good a center as there is in college football. He's a great football player, but he's going to be able to dictate what goes on up front. He's smart. He gets him in the right plays. And then UCF has the ability to run inside zone. That'll set up Dylan Gabriel to get to the perimeter, to make decisions on whether to run or pass. He did a really nice job last week with that, showing off his legs and his newfound ability to be a runner and be dynamic. But the RPO game comes off that inside zone. So let's see what Isaiah Bowser does. I'd like to see him get fewer carries, ironically, not to get him too beat up. They've got Louisville and Cincinnati and some other good teams coming up. Louisville is just over a week away. It's 8 days. They need to get Demarius Good. They need to get Anthony Williams. They need to get Mark Anthony Richards, and especially Johnny Richardson. He's got to get the ball, see what he can do. He had 3 carries, I believe, for 19 yards last week. I'd like to see him get 8 to 12 touches, part of which screen game, and then Dillon can make some down-the-field shots. Also like to see backups across the board. You pick the position, they need to do it. Only other last point I'll make on offense, let's get the tight ends more involved. Alec got his first catch and his first touchdown in game 1. Jake Hescock needs to get some balls his way as well. Let's see that too. Defensively, need to find a really good way to get after the quarterback and actually get him down. They got all this penetration. They did so good, but Boise State had 3 sacks and UCF didn't have any. That can't happen again. Big Cat Bryant mentioned it to me during the press conference on Monday. Said, what else can you guys do to play better this next week? And he said, sack the quarterback. That's how we all get paid. Fair enough. It's a good point. Sacks do matter, and it does lead to the National Football League for many people. The question is, can they do that with 4, sometimes 3, without blitzing? Bethune-Cookman's quick, and they have some good players. Quayshawn Bird is a kid I've been watching a little film and stuff like that of different players. He's a guy that you have to be able to make plays in space against because he'll make you miss. He's not the biggest guy, 170 pounds or so, had 98 yards rushing last week against UTEP. This is a whole different animal with Kalia, with Cam, with Ricky, and all the different players up front. Anthony, all these guys are big guys. He's not going to have as much space, tackle in space. They're going to throw to the perimeter to get him the ball. They're going to throw different screens to receivers. They're not going to win in the box. They're just not. Bethune-Cookman has to get the football to the perimeter, whether it's an option play, a draw, a screen. Power O is not gonna work for them. That's Michigan State's bread and butter play, and a lot of NFL teams run. They can't do that against UCF. The other thing, UCF only had 2 plays where the football got deflected by a DB or a linebacker in the first game. That's not acceptable. They need more. Dylan Lester had the big interception. That's fantastic. I expect to see more of that. They need to have multiple turnovers in this game, maybe a strip sack, get a fumble recovery in the backfield, maybe even a scoop and score. But they've got to get their hands on the football in the secondary. There's going to be more pressure this week. Their offensive line is not going to match up with UCF's front 7. DB should have a field day. Will they? Now, Bethune-Cookman has some players. I'm not kidding. They have some guys. This isn't just your typical FCS team. They have skilled players. They're going to be challenged, but they're not going to have as much time to do it. So with that, leave you with this. UCF should have 2 or 3 turnovers in this game that they get. And they should be forced. They shouldn't just be freebies. Forced turnovers. And if they don't, they didn't do their job because the backfield is going to be surrounded with really talented players like Kalia Davis and Big Cat. So I'm curious to see how they do. Brian Smith for UCF's Fan Nation site, Inside the Knights. Everybody have a safe day, and I'll see everybody on Saturday.